Hello, everyone. Who follows me normally right now knows that I've been more into sewing than I've been into journaling. I have recently done a couple of videos on journaling, but I'm still into sewing, so I can't get it out of my mind. So I wanted to show you today how I upcycled old tiles. Well, ties, men's ties. I actually gotten two uses out of them now. So I wanted to show you what I've been up to. So what I did was I took apart all the ties, and it takes a long time to take them apart. But when I did take them apart, I had, let's pretend this is an ivory fabric. I just stripped the strips of ties on top of the ivory fabric. As you can see, there's ivory fabric underneath. And then I topped it with one of these and sewed all the way around, and then cut it into four, and that's how I got these little squares. And these little squares will all be put together. This little square, doing it like this, a half triangle, let's say it is you can use it for so many different types of designs in patchwork. It could be, you can, play around with it and make different forms out of it. You can make it look like a pinwheel. What I decided to do was, I have one strip already sewn together to give you a little idea of how I'm going to be doing this, but the lines will be all diagonal, and then I'll have this blue fabric in between. This blue fabric instead is my mother-in-law had this beautiful silk blanket. It's gorgeous, but unfortunately it was ripped in different places. Anyways, yeah, I had to take it apart. I couldn't. I was tempted, and I did try it on my bed about 2 times since I've had this blanket with me. And it was just had a rip where you could see it. It wasn't, you couldn't hide it, it was gorgeous. But anyways, I'm getting good use out of it. I took it apart because this blanket I'm going to give to my husband. Seeing that most of the ties were his and this blanket was his mother's, I'm going to end up giving him this blanket. And on this blanket, there was, at the end, there's a huge border all embroidered, which I have saved because I might be attaching it to this blanket when I'm done. And then there was this that I don't think I'll be reusing, but this was all around the blanket as well too. It was a really pretty, dainty blanket. And I love the color. So that was what I did with the old ties. Now, once I oh, and then I'll show you this one, and then we'll get back to the ties. This is the other one that I'm doing with old jeans. So I'm cutting all the jeans in circles, getting the legs and everything. And then once I took apart the jeans, I took any leather tags there was, any of the tags on the inside, cool buttons, I ripped those out as well too. The pockets in the back, I've saved them all. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but I'm gonna do. What was left of the jeans was just, bits and pieces of nothing really. So those are going into the recycling bin. So you cut them into circles, but at the end it becomes a square. So as you can see, there's this 5-inch square in the middle, and then it's folded over and sewn. I gotta practice on this sewing bit here around the sides. But this in the middle are actually pieces that were left from the ties. So what I'm thinking of is, seeing that I think I'm going to do 12 squares by 12 squares. This is going to be another blanket, right? And so that's 144 squares. And what I was thinking was, seeing that I sewed so much this year, that in 2018, I'm going to be putting in the middle things that I did in 2018. Even if I completed a blanket, like I have one that's only 3 different types of fabrics, I'm going to use that in here. So I have so many squares to do that I could go back, and there's the flannel ones, the flannel blankets that I made too. I'm going to do some with flannel pieces because I have all these little itsy bitsy pieces saved, the hoarder in me. And then there's the crumb quilting that I really love on the inside. This really looks cool on the inside too. So this is going to be a long process, very slow project that I'm going to be doing, and as well as the tie one. I go back to it from time to time. Anyways, so getting back to the ties, which there's like beautiful. Look at these colors. Look at them. They're gorgeous, and I have lots of scraps of ties to use up too. Like this is going to be really, really, really gorgeous. These are already cut to size, ready to be added. And this is what was left of the tie. So taking them apart very carefully, you ended up with the inside of the tie. This is a whole one that stayed together. I don't know why. I can't remember as I was taking apart. It could be that I was cutting them, but a lot of them are halfway through. So I have half ones too. But what I was thinking is, because I love doing those, what are they called again? Snippets. Instead of, I was doing snippets lately on pieces of baiting that I had that were left over from other things, strips that I couldn't use otherwise, and I was doing them directly on there. And these snippets come really nice and cushiony and puffy in some places, and it looks really nice. So I thought, well, you know what, I could use these. And so what I have done up until now, and I haven't done a whole tie yet. So this is going to be called a snippet tie, repurpose snippet tie, I guess. Up until now, I've only used the ones that are half. And I've done, let me see, I get this out of the way. I've done these ones. So I've done a red one. And this is actually all my cotton fabrics that I have, a whole bunch of cotton fabrics. And this can be done with the old ties. I'm planning on doing one with all the little pieces of the ties that I used in that blanket, because like I said, I have lots of scraps. So I'm thinking of doing one only with ties. I could probably do a couple. So that's one. And this is how it starts. So this is a project, you guys. This one here is sewn by hand. Yes, it is. It's sewn by hand. So you can do it by hand, as you can do it on the machine too. I did the first two by hand, and then I did the third one by machine because I wanted to see. It actually went really quickly, and yeah, and most of these edges here where you can see the stitching were covered up. So I'll show you what I did after this. So this is getting the tie and just placing your fabric. I did this as I went. I didn't place my fabric and then went ahead and did it. I was just doing it as I was, you know, putting my hand into that red fabric bag and taking them out and putting them beside each other, making sure that you don't have too many fabrics together. This is, fortunately, there are no doubles here, I think, of fabric. They're all different types of red fabrics that I have, and these were scraps, so I didn't even go into, you know, my yardage stash, and you can if you want. So after that, I thought, you know what, I'm going to start embellishing them. And this is one I did with light blues. I'll show it to you up close now. And you know, I think I'm going to be adding to this more, because you know, you find, you know, little things like this. I'm going to show you what I used in all of this now, so that way you guys can get an idea of what like here I have these teensy teensy little pieces as well too, that you can just add, you know, wherever you want. You can continue. And, you know, this could be used as a snippet as well, too. Well, of course it's going to be used as a snippet, because what else? We could hang them on the wall and look pretty. But yeah, you know, you can cut where, and then naturally you can even add to it more. So what I did here is at the beginning, you know, and I can go back and add to this. This isn't really 100% complete. All these appliques that I have from wedding dresses, all these laces that I have from wedding dresses, the beading's kind of hard, but it's fun, you know, I'm getting used to it. And it's something nice. Like I said, this can be done all by hand. You do not need a sewing machine for this. Actually, you know what? I don't think, I know for me, it comes out better by hand. I'll show you the difference now between this one that's done by hand and the other one that's done by machine. And you know, you, like I said, you cover up most of the seams. So yeah, there's the blue one. My next one's going to be greens. I want to do a green one that of these fabric stashes that I have. It's not going to be in cotton, but it'll be in these fabrics. And these are the fabrics that I'm preparing for my hopefully future Etsy shop. So this would be considered the orange pack. This is the fabrics and much more as well too is going to be found in the orange pack. In fact, I opened one up and I'm using it for myself. So this will naturally be mine because I'm already cutting into it. But this is the orange pack. And it's got, you know, laces and the masks and little silks, and these will be showing better when I'm ready to open up the shop. And there's a bit of delay on that right now, but that's okay. I'm not in a hurry. And these beautiful, yeah. So these I'll show in much better, but this is one of the packets that still, this is why I want to show them after. I have to weigh these first to see I don't want to put the price too high because most of it's going to be for who's ordering from overseas, and I don't know if it's worth the while, but I'm going to try anyways. And for the weight, so you know, I'm going to buy a good scale and weigh these things, you know, to know and how much, you know, it's going to be charged for postage. But this is the orange one, and I did this one was done by machine. As you can see here, you see the stitching. So in some places you still see the stitching of the machine, and I think it looks much more better done by hand, and I don't mind. It's something that you can do in front of the TV when you have when you're doing the fabric, you just have your fabric beside you. But when you're doing the beading and the races and this and that, you have to have 100 things around you. My bed was covered last night with all these little things to decorate. So I'll show this to you slowly. This is just like applique of the things. And, you know, I don't have, I love boho fabrics, but I can't find them here. Well, some things maybe, but, you know, I can't find saris here and things like that. No, we don't have, and most of the used shops, those very little, that there was one in town and now it's not even there anymore, they didn't have, you know, old dresses or maybe old linen, but nothing. And he was too expensive, so I never bought from him. But yeah, these are all, this is really cool. This I love. These are ribbons that I find around these traditional cakes that we have for Christmas, which are called panettone. And it has great grapes, raisins in it, and candied fruit. So these are what I find around the packages, you know, when they're sold. And I love these. You know, it's a material. I love these with the writing. I have a whole bunch of them too saved up. So these will be seen here and there. And the buttons make such a difference as well too, especially when you have these beautiful little buttons. This is a beaded applique. Well, this is cuts from dresses. This is really cool too. And this I was ready to throw out the other day, and thank goodness I didn't. It was probably a trimming on the bottom of a dress because it's really, 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 really long. I have so much of this, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try using. I didn't throw it out. I said, no, I'm going to keep it. And if you open it up, it has the little sequences in the middle, and some sheer fabrics. Like this isn't finished yet, and I'm having such a hard time with this one. I tried with sequences going up here and it didn't, you know, show well. I don't know. I'm gonna have to, I want to do something to this because I don't like this thing, so I'll probably be putting trimming around. I just have to find the right one. These beautiful tapestry trimmings, they're really cool too. Another applique. You know, when you're ready to use this up, you know, in your journals, just cut the pieces. And naturally, where, like here, where you have beads, if you cut in the middle, it's liable to, you know, come apart. So I would cut here, you know, use this piece like that in a journal, you know, even longer if you wanted to. You don't have to cut each section where the fabric ends, when one fabric ends and one starts. So yeah, you can do that as well too. But as long as you're not cutting through beads, I don't risk on having like this. I wouldn't cut through this because most of the beads here will start falling out. So this would be a whole piece that I would use, probably even like that. Look at that. Look at how pretty that is. Okay, using that piece in a journal. So what you do need for these type of things is, I'll give you a list of stuff and just a really fast explanation on how I did it. Where does my... Oh, here it is. Okay, so what you're first going to need is, and you know, I'm just saying if you guys have old ties that you don't know what to do, take them apart and then you can put the what was on the outside, the silk. It's usually silk. And I mean, even if it's polyester, don't worry about it. Use it. And you would need, you know, the inside of the tie. Oh, and then, like I said, I'm not sure if these ones were like, I can't remember when I was taking them apart. Maybe I did cut them. I don't know. Anyways, you're going to need the ties. And what you're going to need as well, too, is good pair of scissors. An actually jagged pair of scissors. In fact, I'm thinking of looking into the rotary cutter that cuts zigzag, so that way I go much faster, because this will cut fabrics, yeah, but if it's a sheer fabric, it won't cut it, and that's where I need it most, on those sheer fabrics. I don't want them to fray, you know, too much. So, and then, you know, you're going to need your little bundle of fabrics. You're going to need naturally needles and of various sizes as well too, because I'm using, I'll show you the threads that I used for this. So this was the thread that I was sewing it by hand with. It was a DMC, just, you know, embroidery thread. And then here's some more examples of other variegated, which would look beautiful. And then I used normal thread to attach all the beadings and things like that too, with another size of needle, right? You can have all these little laces ready, and here's another one in ivory. Look at how pretty that is. And then, what else do I have here? I have a bundle of stuff here. I have more of that, that ribbon that I used on the thing. This is really cool. This is actually a necklace that I can even take apart and sew these down, you know, in one of the spots of the thing. And I get some of these things too as well when, you know, they're doing cleanups and the broken jewelry and things like that they've given to me. Some of these, oh, what are they called? Trimmings, I think, that are really pretty. Different types. It's one that I've had for years. It's actually in the orange one as well too, yeah. And then, you know, rickrack, sequences, beads, whatever you can think of. Actually, I was thinking of using as well as, you know, those little bead spacers that you get, the little metal ones. I've used them on fabric type of things, and you can put those as well too, because like I said, you can add anything as long as it's not, you're not going to cut through them after to, you know, and it would do that. So the scissors I talked about, and the needles I talked about, the type of threads I talked about, laces, anything you guys can think of that. What else is here? Buttons, naturally, you know, if you have a nice little collection of buttons, this is a good time to use them up. And yeah, that's about it. So this is what I would start doing, just to give you an idea on how I started. I'll just get a piece of fabric and put it here. Let me see so you can see that better. So this is the point here, right? So I would start just right down here and then sewing it. You would see it on this side. I would actually sew the first piece on the opposite side. And then start cutting every time I would add a piece, I would probably cut it so that way I could see where the edging of the tie was, because then I would start working on this side here. And, you know, when you're starting to put, just a second here, other types of fabric on top, you want to know where that edging is. So this, the first piece cut would help you kind of know where it is. And that's how, like, I just sew a normal in and out stitch. That's it. And just to keep it all together. And like I said, see, this piece here was cut jagged, and it's not fraying, and it kind of looks nice. But like I said, most of your trimmings here, where one fabric stops and one starts, I was covering them up with, you know, trimmings. So yeah, this one's not covered up here, but it's cut with a zigzag scissors, you know, because these will start, I guess once they're in the journal, though, they're not going to be, you know, being touched anymore. They're in between 2 pages, and, you know, you're not, unless it's going to be on the cover. But yeah, I would suggest, you know, using this, if you have these pairs of scissors, to use them as much as possible to cut your fabrics. So yeah, the next one I want to do is greens. Yes, I want to do greens, and then I'm thinking of doing, so I've divided all my fabric by color, you know, and like I said, this want to open up this Etsy shop. Even if I don't open it up, it's a great way to organize your stuff. It is by color. It is. I've seen lots of people do it in the past, but wasn't sure, never got around to doing it. I was dividing it by cotton scraps and ivory fabrics and ivory, you know, satins and satins, and I did have it pretty much organized, but I think color coding them works best, you know, because you're usually the first thing you do in a project, I think in any type of project, in any type of patchwork project or even mixed media project, is, well, the first thing to me that comes in mind are the colors that I want to use in it. So yeah, definitely, and you know where to go right away. And I'm even doing that with my cotton scraps as well too, my quilting cotton scraps. I've already divided a few colors up. I still have to do another few, but these are just the scraps, because when I'm crumb quilting, I want, you know, my scraps organized. Because I'm planning on doing a type of crumb quilting, but each block will be all blues and another block will be all pinks. So yeah, I'm planning on doing that in the near future. I want to get this, the tie blanket, you know, pretty at a good spot where, yeah, start to putting together, because that's really just putting it together now, because the most of the heart, and that's a lot of work to do these type of things. It took me just 3 days to take apart. I think I used 35 ties in total. But yeah, it took me about 3 days, because taking them apart and then having a bundle of fabric and ironing them as well too, and then cutting them. So yeah, I had to iron them to cut them, because it was impossible to do so. And every iron that I did, every time I ironed one of these things, I had a handkerchief on top of it. So it wasn't only taking care of ironing the tie, it was, you know, putting the handkerchief on top and everything. It's a lot of work. So yeah, but I'm happy I'm at this point, because like I said, the easy part is now. I just have to, you know, put them in lines and then add them together. Hopefully that the corners, you know, match, which with me it hardly ever happens. But anyways, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to put them out here. I love this little light blue one. I know I always go for boy colors. I will do a pink one though. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you guys have any ideas on, you know, on what I can do more to these, I really appreciate them. Until the next time, thank you for watching, everyone, and goodbye.